Greetings, welcome back to my travel channel. My name is Thomas, bringing you fresh content from around Europe and beyond, where travels begin at home. Now today I'm walking through District 1 of Ho Chi Minh City, previously known as Saigon, and I'm focusing on the key landmarks that the city has to offer, at least some of them, and some notable mentions, as well as some worthwhile places to eat and drink. Now, over to my right here is the National Post Office, which was constructed at the end of the 19th century when the French occupied the country. And in a second, I'm going to go in and take a look and see what surprises are in store. It's very hot today. Magnificent roof, if you just look in front of me. A lot of the stalls here seem to be focusing on souvenirs. You can just see it to my left. And over to my right is still the functioning post office it once was. I quite like that idea. It's very airy. Love these old workbenches. Beautiful colours. There's quite a few tourists here today as well. There seem to be as many tourists as locals. It's no wonder, I suppose. There's even, just to my right, a couple of tour operators providing various excursions around the country. And over to my left here, there are more souvenirs. And even to my right, gosh, let's go and take a look, shall we? So you don't seem to need to go into a market to be able to get lots of fandangles, fridge magnets, postcards, soft keyring, soft fluffy keyrings, bags. It's quite extensive. I'm not going to proceed any further, but that gives you a good enough impression of what you can see in the National Post Office. Now, one of the things that is somewhat popular around the city are books. And this location, where I'm weaving through now, is one of those very places. They also stock a few souvenirs. And of course, there's some places to drink coffee, being such a large coffee culture. Again, something else the French brought during their occupation. The second largest coffee producing country in the world, just after Brazil. I'm going to stop off at one. I'm going to walk back down this street that I've just come from. There was a nice place on the left here. It's called Book Cafe, very appropriate. There's always a little bit of English. There we go. Let's go and have a coffee in here, shall we? I'm wondering if here they do the weasel coffee, which is one of the famous coffees where the beans go through the digestive system of a weasel and of course are processed and then produced coffee. I might even just ask them. Xin chào. You do weasel coffee? Yeah.
Vietnamese coffee?
Yeah. Do you do weasel coffee?
Oh, we don't have weasel.
Okay, no problem. What do you recommend?
We have Vietnamese coffee.
Yeah.
Or coconut coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one is our signature.
It's your signature coffee,
yeah,
is it?
With coconut.
So you recommend the Vietnamese white coffee with coconut milk?
Yes.
And that's obviously the Robusta bean, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Lovely. Okay, so one of those.
Okay, so one of these. Yeah.
So he was very helpful. I'm number 12. I've got to wait for my coffee. And I'm going to take a pew right next to the road. Watch the world going by. Very pleasant. It's nice and breezy in here. Obviously, it's quite hot. It's up to 30 degrees at least. And this is right away from the sun, sheltered by apartment blocks and lined by Beautiful mimosa trees. Wonderful. This is actually a designated no smoking, which is also good. You notice in a lot of places around Ho Chi Minh City, there are people smoking out in the streets and, of course, in venues, but not here. So here's my weasel coffee. Only kidding. Let's give it a go, shall we? It's fantastic. Sweet. Very milky, of course. And not an overpowering flavour, which I expected from the Robusta bean. It's €1.80. It's a very good price. In some ways I expected it to be a little bit cheaper, but this is a respectable area. Of course, you're right in the heart of Saigon. Some back street might sell it for half or even a third of the price. It really does make a huge difference where you have your coffee in Vietnam. But I can't complain about this, it's really beautiful. Just next to this street is the Cathedral of the Notre-Dame, built by French colonists in 1880, I believe, towards the end of the 19th century. It's just here. Unfortunately, there's a lot of scaffolding, as you can see at the moment, so this is probably the best place to see the cathedral in all its glory. That's a pity, but better to have seen something than nothing. Unfortunately, the cathedral is closed, but for sure it's one of the more scenic landmarks in a historical sense when visiting downtown Ho Chi Minh City, District 1. I always love the thick grass in these countries. Not the sort of grass you particularly want to sit on, but it's very, very pretty indeed. What I particularly like about this city is, in spite of the high volume of traffic, namely motorbikes, 2 for every 3 people apparently, is how well pedestrianised, especially downtown, is. You can walk freely between the landmarks and even the districts. There are some chaotic places where you have to cut and weave in between traffic, but certainly as far as District 1 is concerned, where I'm focused on today, it's relatively pedestrian friendly, and there's a reasonable amount of traffic lights getting you from one busy road to the next. If you love history, there's one building you really must visit on any journey here, and that's that of Independence Palace, also known as the Reunification Palace, owing to the fact in 1975 a tank crashed through the gates of this premises, marking the end of the South Vietnamese government. It was a momentous moment in history. I'm just coming up to it now. I'm doing a little bit of the touristy thing for a little bit today. I'm now in the grounds of the building itself. I had to queue for a little bit. It took 15 minutes and tickets cost 65,000 Vietnamese dong, which works out as approximately €2.50. Excellent price. There's a lot going on here. Lots of pretty girls posing in front of cameras. And I'm going to check out a couple of the model tanks over to my right, quite close to the fountains, a little bit later. And these tanks were the ones which crashed into the gates in 1975, one of which had a failed attempt, so they needed a second one to break through fully. It just goes to show that even in history there's mistakes. It's quite a structure, and I'm going to go in and take a look now.
Having made a reconnaissance of the palace, dipping into various purpose-built rooms, including a small cinema, I ventured further into the district to check out one of the most well-known spots in the city, Bến Thành Market. It's popular with tourists and been in operation since the early 20th century. Getting around was easy, having downloaded the Grab app, providing almost instant travel from place to place for usually cheaper rates than regular taxis.
Also operates for food deliveries.
And functions throughout Southeast Asia, offering a user-friendly platform to see your route, cost and waiting time, from even before you take your ride across town.
So I'm just about to enter Bến Thành Market, the most popular market in Ho Chi Minh. Here we go. Wow, these look good. The prices are reasonable. 70,000. Xin chào. Yeah. This is banh mi. Oh. Banh mi is good. Yeah, banh mi. Banh mi pork. Yeah. Okay, and the drink. So this is the banh mi no, which is the pork, marinated pork, French baguette. It's very light, satisfying. 60,000 Vietnamese dong, which works out as about €2. I do love the fluffy French baguettes here. It's a very good example of fusion cooking. Strong French influences and of course ingredients very typical in this part of the world. Coriander. Banh mis are ubiquitous throughout Vietnam, and they borrow French influences. There's so much choice. I love it. Look at these lovely shrimps, prawns here. Fantastic. Now it all seems to gravitate on just one floor, but there's plenty here, and I could spend at least a good hour. This is the meat section, and out the other entrance. That was a good little experience. It doesn't take too long to walk from one side to the other, but there's definitely a lot packed in to this market.
My final stop here, after battling the traffic and tasting the street food till my heart's content, was Oasis Cafe, a spot abounding with koi. The venue lies between the city's international airport and District 1. Within it contain a network of pretty ponds and submerged seating pits, reached by a web of raised stepping stones amidst them. Sinking fresh fruit drinks and some Western snacks for a fraction of the price you'd pay in some major European cities made the experience even more worthwhile. And as I watched the sun go to bed, I said to myself, let's not make it too long before we meet each other again.
This is just a glimpse of what Vietnam has to offer. In the north are the coffee plantations of Dalat. They were the largest caves in the world. Also, rice terraces with majestic backdrop of mountains. To the south are beautiful turquoise water lapping up against the beaches of Phu Quoc Island in the south. But that will have to be for another trip. In the meantime, stay inspired, and you'll see me in the next one.